Hello and welcome back to the Daily Refresh. I wanted to start off by saying I hope that you all who are fathers to be, worthy to be fathers, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, brothers, anyone who has been able to play a fatherly role in a child's life. I just wanted to extend my appreciation to you all, and I hope that you all had a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day, and that not only today but every day of the year you're able to be celebrated and celebrate. So I really and truly hope and pray that you all had a wonderful day. Today's scripture is devoted to fathers, and it's coming from Proverbs, the 23rd chapter and the 24th verse, and it reads, "The father of godly children has cause for joy. What a pleasure to have children who are wise." And isn't that a pleasure to know that you've brought up your children in the right way? Will they stray? Will they make mistakes? Of course, all of us do. Nobody's perfect. But when you are bringing them up in the right way, the power is that they will have all of that inside of them, and it will be equipping them to fight against the wiles of the devil. It will be equipping them to resist as much temptation as possible, and even if they stray, the Bible that you have placed inside of them will bring them back. Their belief in that and their belief in God will bring them close again. So the devotion that goes with the Bible app for this scripture is called Godly and Wise. If you're a parent figure, you know that raising children can be the greatest joy you ever experience and the biggest struggle you face. And if you're a follower of Christ, you likely feel an added burden to make sure your kids grow up to know and love God. And, anyone who's a parent understands that your biggest desire is to ensure that your children are brought up to be productive members of society, that they are spiritually equipped, that they are very much aligned with God and the Bible, and that is just innate in their soul. And so allowing that to grow up in them is something that any parent figure who is of the Christian faith is going to want for their children. So it says in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 24, the author points out that joy in parenting comes when our children are two things: godly and wise. So, how do we help our kids become more like Jesus and develop the wisdom they need to navigate the challenges of life? Because we all know, this life is not easy. There are great parts of life and wonderful parts and things to celebrate, but there are some challenging times. There are some things that might be difficult, might be trying, all of those things. And so being able to understand how to navigate those challenges and not necessarily just give up, but how to persevere and how to push through is going to be critical in order to be successful in this life. While there are different ways, here are two to start with. Find a Christ-centered community. As a parent, you'll need to surround yourself with a community that loves Jesus, so that way you're not alone when raising kids gets challenging. If you don't have that today, commit to taking the next step in that direction. Join a small group, get connected to a church, invite friends over for dinner, or get to know a neighbor. I'm sure that you all have heard the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child. And, I know a lot of people say, oh, you have to be careful of who's in the village. And of course you do. Anything, you have to make sure that you are careful of, what's going into yourself and what's going into your family. But honestly and truly, there's a lot of things, not just of the village, but of this digital age that we have to be mindful of and careful of. So that's why it says finding Christ centered community. So those people who are aligned with the same beliefs of being a follower of Christ, building that, and it doesn't have to be huge. Like I said, you can have a small group of parent figures or people who are in the same mind and who can be supportive, because sometimes when raising children it can be challenging, and so to have someone that can be a strong support system could be everything. It could be the thing that you need to traverse to the next stage. Having someone to talk to or someone to listen to what you're going through could definitely be very, very useful in order to make it over that next hurdle and overcome that next obstacle. Teach kids to ask for help. Whether your children are toddlers or teenagers, chances are high that they love being independent. "I can do it myself" might be one of the most common phrases you hear. Oh my gosh, I remember when my son started saying that, "I can do it, I can do it." And while it's wonderful to watch that growth and you feel like, wow, this is amazing. He's growing up or she's growing up. You know, it's still something inside of you that doesn't necessarily want to let go, or that there's some things that they feel like they can do but they might not be ready to do just yet. But they have this thought that I can do it, I want to do it myself, I want to. And we have to teach them that while yes, being independent and being able to do things on your own and do things yourself, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. I myself, have to continue to work on that. Just getting to a place where I appreciate that it's okay to ask for help in certain instances. And so teaching kids how to ask for help can also be helpful, especially like if they're going through something and they just need an ear to listen to them, or they need some advice, or they just need to vent, or they just need to ask for some kind of assistance. Being able to show them the power of this and how important it is to ask for help is going to be a great skill for them to learn. It is easy to think that developing wisdom comes from doing it all on your own. But James chapter 1 verse 5 reminds us that God will give us wisdom when we ask Him for it. The best way to help your kids develop wisdom is to point them to be a source of wisdom. Model what it looks like to seek help from God by praying with your kids, even if it's uncomfortable. Parenting is difficult, but it can be rewarding. So, as you commit to the daily challenges and joys of taking care of kids, remember this: the greatest contribution you can make to the world might not actually be what you do, but who you raise. Think about the child or children in your life. Today, ask yourself, what's one thing I can start doing to help point the kids in my life toward Jesus? I think that's so powerful to think about. Like, we always want to achieve and we want to accomplish, and that's great, like having that sense of success and excellence in our lives. It can be quite fulfilling. But if you're a parent, then that goes up exponentially, because then you want to ensure that the child that you are raising goes out into that world and is not necessarily just only a productive member of society, but also is a strong believer and follower of Christ, because that's going to be something that will also continue to boost the world and boost society. So think about, as a parent or as someone who is supporting a parent or just friends with a parent within a community of parents, what can you do to ensure that the children that we're raising today can not only just be really good leaders and really good providers in our society, but also that we ensure that they are leading into a life towards Jesus. As always, I thank you so much for joining the Daily Refresh, and God bless you.